I'll be out before I reach down there. This is all part of the movie, man. I'll see y'all in a minute.
That video recorded just a few precious moments before Mobile police officer Stephen Green was stabbed to death by that suspect, Lawrence Wallace.
Green had just transported Wallace, a robbery suspect, to Metro Jail. Wallace was later shot and killed during a standoff with officers.
It's a moment ingrained in the minds of so many Mobilians, but what most don't know is the story of Officer Mark Johnson, who was shot while chasing that killer.
Now he's sharing his harrowing story with Local 15's Christian Jennings.
Mark Johnson's life has always centered on helping others. He spent more than 2 decades working for United Way, raising millions of dollars for local charities as CEO.
I was getting a little restless, I guess you could say. I realized what I really was longing for was more of a hands-on kind of experience.
So he traded in his comfy office for a badge, a gun, and $13 an hour at the Mobile Police Department.
Sitting behind a desk for 22 years, raising money was kind of abstract, and I want some reality. I want a good dose of reality.
That was a Local 15 interview from 2003 when Johnson was a 50-year-old police recruit with a dream. Little did he know his dose of reality would be a brush with death 9 years later.
This is still a fluid situation right now.
A police officer was stabbed and killed today.
It was a typical day. It happened to be the first day of Mardi Gras.
He's talking about February 3rd, 2012. At this stage of his career, Johnson is a detective. On this day, he's conducting an investigation at a house off Dolphin Island Parkway.
Suddenly we hear on our radios that Signal 17, a cop has been stabbed. And the subject has fled the Mobile County Metro Jail in the down officer's car.
That suspect was Lawrence Wallace. He was in police custody for robbing a Dollar General.
I'll be out before I reach down there. Bigger than the mail on the neck.
Police were in the process of booking him into jail when he managed to break free from his handcuffs and stab Officer Stephen Green in the neck and back. Wallace stole Green's gun and took off in his police car.
And they started broadcasting what the GPS said the car was, and that was about a block from where I was. So I went there and found an abandoned police car, door wide open, siren lights still going.
Johnson was alone. Wallace was nowhere in sight. After a quick search of the area, he found himself in the backyard of this home on Daytona Drive. He figured Wallace had found a place to hide, so Johnson laid on his stomach and looked underneath the house into the darkness.
So I light up with my flashlight, and before I can even see, I heard 5 or so pops. As I went to reach around to shoot some return fire, I noticed that the plate of my magazine, which is where the bullets are, was missing, and that the grip of the gun was all kind of gnarled up. And I tipped my gun up and looked, and there weren't any bullets in there. And I looked on the ground, and they were all scattered on the ground.
Johnson had no clue he had been shot. The adrenaline had masked the pain, leaving him oblivious to his bleeding arm. By this time, dozens of officers were swarming the property.
This captain said, have you been hit, Mark? There's blood all over your hand. And so I started to roll up my sleeve, and I got up about to here, and the captain said, don't roll anymore. There's a big flap of skin that may come with your sleeve.
Johnson believes his own gun saved his life, acting as a shield instead of a weapon.
There was a pin in this pocket that was completely shattered, and the ink was dripping down, and there were little tiny fragment-like holes all across my shirt. So it makes me think that there was it hit my gun, and it was a spray of ricochet.
Paramedics rushed him to USA Medical Center, where he was greeted by the police chief, the mayor, and fellow officers.
And I didn't really think until I asked, well, how did the cop that got stabbed at the Metro, how did he turn out? And that's when I realized they weren't there for me. They were there for him. And they said he didn't make it.
Green was just 36 years old.
You know, we all had to watch the video of it in the Sally Port of the Metro as a training exercise. And those images will never leave my mind.
2 years after Johnson's life-changing experience on the force, he retired. But retirement life doesn't suit him. During his 12-year tenure at MPD, Johnson saved all his notes he took on calls in the field. Now, a lot of them are public record in his new book, Apprehensions and Convictions, Adventures of a 50-year-old Rookie Cop.
Now, I changed everybody's name in the book. People call me up and are trying to kind of feel me out about, well, did you tell about that time? You know, and I say, you have to buy the book, buddy.
Johnson hopes his book gives people an in-depth look at the other side of policing and a better appreciation for the hardworking men and women in blue.
They're loyal and they're brave and they do the best they can with what they've got.
So after so many career changes, I asked Johnson what his next move is. He said he wants to see how being an author works out and just take things one day at a time. As far as the gun he believes saved his life, he still has it locked in a case in his house for good luck. Back to you.
Johnson's book, Apprehensions and Convictions, just hit store shelves this week.